save me some.
Hello, my friends. How you doing today? I am doing well. And hey, guess what? This is a completely different video. Cause you know what I got to show you today as far as media goes and music and CDs, and as a car goes flying by my house and there's not even a road anywhere in sight in my area. Yeah, I didn't get no packages today.
Hated it.
I didn't get no packages today. Now, no fear. Please do not unsubscribe to the channel. The packages are coming, okay? But I did not get any packages today, and I was like, you know what? I need to make a video. So maybe I'm gonna record something and talk about something that's actually kind of dear to my heart. Okay, something to fill in your fix for this channel. Okay, I always provide. Okay, every Tuesday, every Friday, and every Saturday, unless something's going on. I will tell you that the Tuesdays though, I'm trying to kind of pull back sometimes on the Tuesdays because there really hasn't been a hell of a lot of media being released on Tuesdays lately. And when I've been picking up my media, I don't go out. Listen, I don't go out and about. You know that. I don't go out in my car, and I don't go to Walmart because they're too damn expensive. I don't go to Target because they're too damn expensive. And I don't have a bull moose in my area, so I don't go there. This is a little bit of a different camera angle type thing. I had to bring you a little bit closer because what I'm about to do today, I think it's gonna need me to do a little bit more movements closer to your face. You know. Like that, you know, like that kind of stuff. So what I decided to do is show you a collection of mine, something that I hold very near and dear to my heart, and have spent literally close to $1,000 on. Okay, and you're probably gonna look at me right now like, sir, we've seen your collections. Okay, we watch your channel all the time. You spend a lot of money. Where do you get this money from? Listen, only God knows. Listen, I have no idea where my money comes from. I have no, well, I know I work for it. I mean, I teach preschool. That's my thing. But I will tell you that sometimes, you know, I do wonder where my money comes from. And I do wonder how I'm able to afford the things that I'm able to afford. And this is going to be a little bit of a strange kind of video. Now, I will tell you that recently, let me do my back check there, just make sure I didn't leave any shavers or any kind of crazy stuff back there that you guys like. When I saw you look behind there, I thought you were looking for your bong. No, I'm not looking for my bong. Okay, it's not. Listen, I don't have a bong. I don't do that stuff. But listen, so the deal is that I teach preschool. I am a pre-K teacher. Now to make that very clear, and I tried to make that clear to hundreds of people that kind of don't understand the difference between preschool, daycare, pre-K. What's the difference, okay? I'll tell you what the difference is. Daycare is they plop your kid into school, and it's like, I got to go to work, and I really don't care what my kids are going to do all day, just as long as you keep them safe and you keep them alive, and when I come back to pick them up at the certain time I come to pick them up, they're still alive, okay? That's a daycare, okay? Then we got preschool, which is involves circle time and trying to teach the kids a little bit of something, but still not the fundamentals and things that the child needs in order to bring them to kindergarten level. You know, yeah. If you are a parent and listen, I was a parent that worked third shift. I stayed home all day with my kids. I was dead tired, but I had my kids had like a fake, well, not a fake. It wasn't a fake chalkboard. It was a chalkboard, and they had like different things to play with and everything. So I used to like to play school with them. I always wanted to be a teacher. Okay, that was my thing. I always really wanted to be a teacher. Well, originally I wanted to be a trash man. Okay, quick story, very very quickly. When I was younger, in 5th grade, whatever, they asked me what I want to be when I grow up. And my teacher goes, asked everybody in class, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said I wanted to be a trash man. And my teacher literally, because this is the deal. My father was a teacher, and he knew the teachers from the school system and everything like that. And so he knew my teacher friendly wise, okay? Like he knew of him, and he had conversation with them. My father started as a sub, then he became a teacher or whatever. So he knew the teachers. So so when it came time to ask the class what they want to be when they grow up, I was like, I want to be a garbage man. I want to be a trash man. I want to be the guy that hangs on the back of the trash truck and picks up the trash. And my teacher was like, well, why would you want a job like that? That's a disgusting, dirty job, which I thought was a little, now that I look back on that, that's a little mean. That's not even the word I wanted to use, but I'm just saying that, listen, there are some people that your job has to be a garbage man. Listen, let's give a little props to the garbage men. because they pick up our garbage. Okay, if they didn't pick up our garbage, then what would we do with it? You know what I mean? It's like so yeah, we need garbage men. Garbage men are helpers. Okay, they're important people. I stopped not too long ago. When I say not too long ago, I mean about a year ago. And I saw the garbage men out there, and I stopped and I thanked them for doing what they were doing because that's the right thing to do. Okay, these people, they get up in the morning and they pick up our garbage and they do our stuff. So it is an important job. So for the fact that my teacher went and ratted me out to my father. Actually, I guess they went to the teacher's lounge. Remember back in the day, they had that teacher's lounge. Okay, and if you're my age, around my age, the teacher's lounge consisted of, every time that door opened up, a cloud of smoke would come out. Because every teacher be smoking cigarettes. Every teacher is like, oh, this job. Oh, I hate these kids. I hate everything I do. I hate you all. So when the teacher's lounge door would open up, I remember a cloud of smoke coming out of the teacher's lounge door. But this would have been back in like the 80s, early 80s, let's say around 82-ish, 83-ish, 84-ish, something around that time. Maybe even 85-ish. I don't know. But at the time, everybody was smoking cigarettes, and it was perfectly legal to smoke inside of buildings and establishments, and you can bring your cigarettes in there. And I guess the teacher's break room was a place where they could go and smoke their cigarettes. Where nowadays you can't smoke anywhere on anybody's property at any time, in any place or anywhere or whatever. Which I don't smoke, so that's not really my problem. But I guess this guy went into the lounge and goes and tells my father, you know what your son wants to be when he grows up? And my father's like, oh, what's he want to be? He wants to be a trash man. And I came home that day, and my father flipped out on me.
You done messed up!
He's like, what are you... the guy's... Okay, so the guy's name was Mr. Tavares, okay? I'll say his name because he's probably dead by now. But his name was Mr. Tavares. They called him Mr. T, okay? Mr. T for short. Am I getting a phone call? Because I'm not answering no phone calls. Yeah, we'll get over that really quick. So yeah, so his name is Mr. Tavares, but because most of us couldn't really say Tavares at the time, we called him Mr. T. He was a bald-headed guy, but he had the hair of like it's like he had this, the bald on top, but he had like the weird thing, and then it came down. Like he had hair. It's like a weird mullet. Like he ran through like a car wash and washed the top of his head, but left like mullet side over it, and then it came down into a beard. So he was able to, like, if you flipped him upside, those those things with the faces, and you could take like the magnets and drop. You could drop the little magnetic flakes and make like a face. He literally looked like that guy. That's what he looked like. He looked like the magnetic flake guy. And if I can get a picture of the magnetic flake guy, I'll put him over here. So anyway, so when they asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, I said I want to be a trash man. Told my father. My father comes home and starts flipping out on me. He's like, why do you want to be a trash man? Well, that's a terrible job. Nobody wants to be a trash man. Well, that's not entirely true. I wanted to be a trash man. I thought it was cool, hanging on the back of the thing. And then in my head, I was like, think of all the things they're going to find. I mean, think of how amazing... to this day, I want to throw it out there. Think of how amazing it must be to be a trash man sometimes. I mean, not all the time. I'm sure it's not fun all the time, but I bet you they find some really cool stuff. I don't know, back in the 80s, okay, early 90s, and as I was driving to school on the bus, I'd be looking out the window, and when you're a kid, you're on the bus, you're looking out the window, and as you go and look out the window, you see stuff. And I remember seeing bowling balls on the side of the road. I remember seeing, you see like different kind of shelving, or you see all kinds of stuff as you're taking the bus. You got the headphone. I have my headphones on, my Walkman, and my fake Walkman from Sears that said Sears right on it. It was like, damn, it's like you can't get a real Walkman. Here's your Sears Walkman. At one point I had one that was from, I want to say Bradley's or Kmart or whatever, and that one didn't even have a name on it. But this one in particular was gray, and it said Sears right on it. And I was like, and all the kids were like, look, I got a Sony Walkman. What kind of Walkman you got? I'm like, Sears. Here it is, a Sears one. I got a Sears brand. Well, Oz can skip in between different songs. You can press the two buttons together, and you can listen to that song, but you want to listen to the next song, it'll play to the next song and skip to the other. I said, well, mine's to press play, and it plays the damn song, okay? So just shut up and just go sit somewhere else on the bus, because I'm in the back of the bus because I'm one of the cool kids, okay? Leave me alone, okay? That was the thing. So, yeah, so my father flips out. He's like, yeah, you embarrass me. You're an embarrassment. You're telling people you want to be a trash man. And I'm like, all right. And then my father became a school teacher, and he wasn't a very good school teacher. I'll tell you. Listen, this is a amazing story I'm about to tell you. He worked at a middle school for a while. My father was not the brightest man in the world. Okay, so where we live, you have to take a test to be a teacher, like a big test to be a teacher. And I got something to show you. Don't listen. Don't worry. There is something I want to show you. Something I want to share with you. Something, like I said, something close to my heart that cost me a lot of money that I want to show you. But so he became this teacher, and I guess he was hated so much by the students that they had a hit list on him. He worked in like kind of a tough city, you know what I mean? I grew up in kind of a tough city. I always say that my brother is extremely book smart, where I'm extremely street smart, because I kind of was like spent most of my time like on the streets. When I got older, I spent a lot of time hustling and selling things I wasn't supposed to be selling and doing what I need to be doing in order to make things happen. You know what I mean? I was a little bit of a hustler. So I had to be a little bit street smart. Where my brother got everything handed to him by my mommy and daddy. My mommy and daddy took care of my brother, and he got his college degree because my mother and father got divorced. And my father was such a nice guy. He straight up told, and I remember this very clearly. He's like, told my son, he's like, because what happened was when my mother and father got divorced because my mother abandoned us. When they went to court, I don't think she got a lawyer either. He went and lawyered up. He was smart. I'm pretty sure he lawyered up. She didn't lawyer up. She went in and defended herself. And she abandoned us. So because she abandoned us, she straight out lost the case. That was it. She was done. And part of the ruling is that she would have to pay for my brother's schooling until he was out of school. So my father was like, my brother didn't even want to be in school half the time. And my father was like, you're going to school. And if I get you into grad school, you're going to go to grad school. We're going to take that woman for every dime we can take her for because she abandoned us and she cheated on me and all this kind. He was very, very spiteful. He's a very spiteful, angry man. So he, I guess, wasn't well liked by the children. So he had a hit list put on him. And he would get out of school every day, and he'd have nails and screws and stuff stuck in his tires. So every day he'd come home, be aggravated, like, oh, it happened again. He literally, I think he bought stocks in like Fix-A-Flat and those little flat things that, you know, the things that comes with like a thing where you clean out the tire, and then you put the piece of it, what looks like black licorice, but it's not black licorice, it's like some kind of tar or something, I don't know what it is, fake tire, and he'd have to push it into the thing and caulk up the tire, and then he'd rub this stuff on it, whatever, and then he'd fill it up with the Fix-A-Flat, and then he'd squirt water on it to make sure that it wasn't leaking. This was like a daily routine with him, because every day the kids would stick nails and screws in his tires. They loved him as much as I loved him. They had the same kind of emotions towards my parents that I had towards my parents, okay? But on top of that, I guess he had a hit list out on him. And they shook down one of the kids' lockers, and they found a knife with a note and everything like that. And at the end of the day, when my father went to go leave his job, they tell him, they're like, hey, we just want to let you know that so-and-so was going to kill you at the end of the day today. And my father was like, what? What do you mean he was going to kill? You're telling me now? I had him in my class. He was in my class earlier today. He was in my class earlier today. He was going to kill me? And you're telling me now? And they were like, you are on a need to know basis. And I remember my father telling just like this, like, well, don't you think somebody wanting to kill me by the end of the day would be a need to know situation? Like, maybe I need to know that. Maybe I need to know. I will tell you that if I ever ran into that kind of thing, I would hope that somebody would tell me that one of my students wanted to kill me by the end of the day, so I could either bring, you know, I'd be carrying, or I'd bring my mace gun or whatever. I'd like to make sure that I was all set. You know what I mean? But I guess at that time, back in the 80s, early 90s, whatever, it was on a need to know basis. So anyway. I digress on that whole situation. So yeah, I wanted to be a trash man because I just thought it looked like a cool job. I just thought that I'd be able to listen. I like to collect things, and I thought that it was cool. And at the time, I got laughed. I got laughed at in class. I got laughed at. The teacher totally just knocked me right down from, like, think about it. You're a kid. This would have been 5th grade, I believe. It's 5th grade, 100%. 5th grade, 6th grade, 5th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. 5th grade. Okay, I was in 5th grade. And, your hopes and dreams are to become a trash man. Why discourage a child from becoming a trash man? You know, more than likely, if you're asked at 5th grade what you want to be when you grow up, you're not going to be what you want to be when you grow up. Anyway, how many of you people here, okay, that watch this channel actually grew up to be exactly what you wanted to be? I got a kid in my class that wanted to grow up to be a cat. Okay, I asked him, I said, what do you want? I work preschool, so I'm like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I had future day, or what do you want to be when you grow up day? Come in dressed up as what you want to be when you grow up. And I had kids that came in dressed up like doctors. I'm like, yes, doctor. Another kid came in dressed up kind of like me, and he was like, I want to be a teacher. I'm like, yeah, that's great. And I had a kid come in dressed up like a cat. And I'm like, I literally, that was the look on my face. I actually contacted the parent with concern. I'm like, you are aware that it's almost impossible. I mean, I don't want to discourage anybody's hopes and dreams, but it's almost impossible for a child to grow up to be a cat. Okay, it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry, he's not gonna grow up to be a cat. If you're encouraging this future for him, I don't want you to just discourage him, but maybe talk him into maybe veterinarian or working at a zoo or I don't know, something different than being a cat, because this is not gonna happen. But with that said, yeah, it was my dream to become a teacher. And just recently, I was having a little bit of problem because my age group was always, so to get back to the pre-K and preschool and whatever, pre-K is pre-kindergarten, meaning I prepare children for kindergarten. I teach them the fundamentals for kindergarten, but most of all, I try to teach them moral value. I'm one of the few teachers that still believes that children need morals. So I bust out a puppet, I'll bust out a magic show, I'll bust out a whatever in order to make these kids understand that, you got to treat people the way you want to be treated. I want these kids so badly to understand themselves. Like look into themselves and feel their hearts and feel their minds and be like, this is the way I am. This is who I am. This is how I feel. When I get hurt, this is what hurts me. When I get angry, this is what makes me angry. If mom and dad are arguing, that bothers me. I want them to understand that they can make a difference in their future. Like I understand they're only 5. I get it. I understand they're 4 or 5 years old, and this is a kind of a lesson that they're. But I'll tell you right now, if you didn't know this, children 3 years old and under pretty much forget everything. So if you plan on taking your kids to Disney World at 2 years old or 1 year old or whatever it is, they're going to forget about it. It's a big old waste of money, okay? Because they're probably going to forget. I want you to stop for a second and think if you can remember what the heck you were doing at 1, 2, let's say 1 or 2 years old. What were you doing at 1 or 2 years old? You don't have no idea. I have no idea what the hell I was doing at 1, 2 years old. But I can tell you that I start to remember things around the 4-year-old age group. I can recall things that I did in schools and stuff like that. I started school when I was 5 years old, but I recall stuff. You know what I mean? So pre-K, pre-kindergarten. Teaching the children for the fundamentals of kindergarten, the alphabet, their numbers, the colors, shapes, and most of all, moral value. I want them to treat children, their friends, the way that they would want to be treated, because that's the way this world should be nowadays. There's too many people out there that just be hating everybody. You're all walking around miserable looking faces. I took a trip not too long ago to New York. We went for a trip to New York for some reason, whatever. And sometimes I just step back and I look at people. And even I took a trip like into the city, like near where I live. And just people just look miserable. They're just miserable people in this world, just angry. I'm sometimes a miserable, angry person sometimes. And then you see me angry and miserable on this channel. But usually I'm miserable and angry because of my family. And when I say family, I mean mother and father. I don't mean, and sometimes my kids. My kids sometimes really get on my nerves. They just do stupid things that make me feel like a failure as a father. It's ironic that I can teach 4 and 5 year olds these moralic value things all my life. For the last 10 years I've been doing this, but I can't seem to get it through to my own children. A strange thing. So yes, pre-K, pre-kindergarten. Okay, preparation for kindergarten. That's the difference between daycares, home cares, preschools, and kindergartens, pre-K classes. So, with that said, I want to show you my awesome collection. I am obsessed, because of moral value, with Mr. Rogers. Okay, Mr. Rogers has always been, as long as I can remember, a part of my life. He's always been an inspiration to me, a hero to me. He taught me moral value. He taught me not to be prejudiced or racist. Or he was the first man to ever share a pool with an African-American man and wash the man's feet for him and everything. He was doing things that other people were not doing. Listen, when JFK got assassinated, he touched base on his show about JFK's assassination. He was talking to 5-year-olds and 4-year-olds about assassination. He was talking to 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds about discrimination and racism and all kinds of other stuff. And that's what I do in my class. So anybody that's watching this, that if you're a parent of that watches this channel, and I'm not aware that you're a parent that watches this channel, that's what your child is learning in my class during my circle time. They're not learning how to make little popsicle stick men. They're not learning how to glue different things. Although I do volcanoes, and I do make slime, and I do projects, and I do different things. We do have a lot of little fun things. We play the floor is lava. I mean, it's tons of different things that we do. But before everything starts, I gotta teach. And if I don't get at least 45 minutes of teaching in, I don't feel like I've done my job. If I'm not giving your kids 45 minutes of moral value, I don't feel like I'm doing my job. Mr. Rogers taught me a lot of different things. And I thank God for Mr. Rogers, because my parents were ploppers. They were ploppers. And if you don't know what a plopper is, that's a parent that gives birth to a child, okay, and has a child, and then plops them in front of the TV and lets the TV raise them. I was raised by my TV. Okay, like the cable guy said, I learned the facts of life by watching the facts of life. I was the bastard son of the courtship of Eddie's father. Okay, that was me. I was plopped in front of that TV and forced to watch Mr. Rogers. And it wasn't really a forcing after a while. It was kind of a pleasure to watch Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street, and then later on Doctor Who and whatever else. I mean, I couldn't get up and change the channels because I was kind of forced to just go whatever PBS would give me. So I'd watch The Electric Company. If everybody, The Electric Company, that's where I learned about Spider-Man. Spider-Man came from The Electric Company. He was like the first real live Spider-Man. If I mean, don't quote me on this because I haven't done any research, but I remember my first Spider-Man being on The Electric Company. And I remember waiting for that section of the Electric Company when you would see Spider-Man come out, and it was just a guy dressed in a Spider-Man suit, and it was just amazing. I mean, it was the education that I got sitting in front of the TV is how I teach my classes now. This is how I teach my 5-year-olds. I watched what Mr. Rogers did. I watched how he spoke to the children and how he didn't belittle them. I don't belittle my children. I speak to my children the same way that I speak to a regular, normal human being. All they are is little people, okay? You can have a major conversation with a 5-year-old. You know, the funny thing is, a lot of you people have kids, you have 5-year-olds like that, they're listening to you, okay? They're listening to everything that you're saying, okay? When you go in the other room and you think they're not listening, they're still listening. And they know what they do? They come to preschool or pre-K or whatever, and they tell their pre-K teacher all the stuff that's going on in your house. They're listening. Listen. If you don't think they're smarter than what you think they are. So don't degrade them and belittle them. I mean, talk to them like they're normal people. I treated all of my children growing up the same way. I talk to them like I would talk to my wife. Okay, no swears, no cursing and none of that kind of stuff. But when it came to talk to them, I talked to them. I didn't talk down to them. Okay, and a lot of people talk to kids like they're not understanding it. They don't comprehend life. And a lot of kids are not only comprehending life, but they're going through a lot of struggles. There's a lot of struggles with kids. There's a lot of abuse out there nowadays. There's a lot of drugs out there nowadays. There's a lot of things that kids are going through, that they're seeing things. They don't understand why mommy. Listen, I always tell the parents that my circle time is revolved around your child. I'll go in there with a thought. Let's say we're going to learn about the letter A today. But if your daughter comes walking into my classroom with a tear rolling out of her eyes because her grandfather just passed away, we're going to talk about death. We're going to talk about death, and we're going to talk about the process and what happens after death and where that person. And I don't give anybody any, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't embed any notions, or like I don't teach them things that you would disagree on. Like, I leave it up to their perspective. I don't teach religion in my class, okay? That's because every kid's got their own belief, and every parent has their own belief. So I don't teach that. What I do is I leave it open to their perspective. I let them voice what they are going through, and I stop and I listen. Okay, sometimes a child just needs an earpiece. They just need to listen. And then once I sit there and I listen to them, and they're like, Mommy and Daddy were fighting over this or whatever, and I heard Mommy and Daddy fighting, then I'm able to be like, I can address the issue. Listen, Mommy and Daddy were fighting, had nothing to do with you. Next time they're fighting, go in another room. And if you can put the TV on, put the TV on. If you can't put the TV on, then just go listen to something. Or go if they're too loud, they're screaming, take the pillow and put it over your ears and as long as they're not yelling at you It's not about you. Okay, just go someplace else. Don't, because I was one of those kids that was like right in the middle of it. You know, my mother and father be going at each other, going at each other, going at each other. Meanwhile, they never once, and I always tell parents this, while you're going at each other, look down. Look down and see what's down there. What's down there is a child that you gave birth to, probably out of love or out of lust or out of whatever, and that child is listening to you. They're listening to everything that you're saying. They're absorbing it, and sometimes they can't understand it. So my circle, let's say, is about the letter A, and the child comes in and wants to talk about why mommy and daddy were fighting, or why daddy just hit mommy, or why grandpa just died, or why their pet just died, or whatever it is. I'm gonna explain to the best of my ability, and with kid gloves. Okay, that's what I call kid gloves. Okay, taking baby steps. I will explain to them so they don't get over emotional, so they can understand what just happened to them. Because while you're grieving and you're having issues and you're going through whatever you're going through, your kids are going through the same thing. 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, very smart. They're going through the same thing you're going through. You might not understand it because you're in your point in time, you're going through whatever you're going through too. Hey, your dad just passed away. Well, that dad was their grandfather, or that mom that just passed away was their grandmother, or their Gigi, or Mimi, or whatever they call them, or Vavo, or whatever. It's gonna affect your child too, and seeing you hysterically crying is gonna make them feel like they need to hysterically cry, and that's where I come into play. They get dropped off at the school. I got this agenda, this lesson plan that I got planned out, but if there's a child that needs guidance and needs to understand something, I want them to understand things. I want them to have the morals so that later on in life they can have the same conversations with their kids. If we don't stop passing things on, it's just gonna fade out. Yeah, that's what I don't think a lot of people understand. I will use a movie prop, okay, just because this is a movie channel of such or whatever, and this great movie that's right here to explain this to you. And this is a little dusty. I haven't watched it in a while. All right. So here I have is the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray DVD digital, doesn't even make a damn difference anyway, of E.T. So you streamers, let's say one day they decide they don't want to show E.T. anymore, and E.T. just drops off the face of the earth, and it's not on a streaming service anymore. You don't collect physical media, you don't know what's going on. If you don't pass E.T. onto your kids, they're never gonna know who E.T. is. It's not even gonna be a thing. It's not even gonna be. It's nothing. It's gonna fade away. It's gonna like even with your family. Like if you don't talk about your mom or your dad or your family or whatever, the people that you love, you care about, if you don't pass that on to them, they're gonna forget all about it. Yeah, it's gonna become just a memory, or just something that just no longer exists. If you don't share, my granddaughter was over a few weeks ago, whatever, and we went downstairs in the movie theater thing, and we watched Gremlins, and I was like, and my wife's like, what do you want to watch? I'm like, I personally did not really want to watch Gremlins, but I was like, if we don't watch Gremlins, knowing her father and her mother, and knowing that they don't really watch that kind of stuff, and they don't, and her father's afraid of horror movies, even though I wouldn't classify Gremlins as a horror movie, she'll probably never see it. And Gremlins is a classic. E.T. is a classic. I cannot wait to show her E.T. when I feel like she's a little bit, she's only 2 point whatever. Once she hits like that 3, 4, 5 years old thing, I will definitely share E.T. with her. I don't want to freak her out right now, but if you don't share it, they're not going to share it with their kids, and their kids aren't going to share it with their kids, and then it just becomes gone. It just disappears. People are like that too. If you don't talk about the people that you love to people that you are with, they just fade away. Listen, when you pass away, all you are is a memory. And if you don't pass on that memory, or pictures, or whatever, or stories, or videos, that's why this channel is great, because this is like not only like a diary of sorts, but for the rest of my life and death, it will still be here, probably still airing. They can look it up anytime they want. Grandkids, great-grandkids, great-great-grandkids, great-great-great-grandkids. Listen, it could go on forever. Now I know a couple of you guys are cringing a little bit. You're like, oh, I'm scared of the thought. I'm scared of the thought that you are gonna be forever enshrined on YouTube, or you're gonna forever be there on YouTube. Yeah, I know you fear the thought, but hey, that's the way it is. That's kind of what makes me keep doing this channel. It's hopefully gonna hit somebody, and something I said within this whole thing, you got it. You understood. So yeah, granted, I didn't get no mail today, but I'm going to share with you my collection. What I wanted to share with you is something, I'm going to go really fast, and I'm going to explain it really quick. It's my Daniel Tiger, Mr. Rogers puppet collection, okay? Yes, I've reached rock bottom where I didn't get mail, and I have to show you something that you might actually find kind of interesting. So I keep everything in a plastic case. So if you didn't know how Daniel Tiger originated, okay, I will get this one out of the way because I just want to show you. This is the Daniel Tiger that probably most of the younger viewers and younger people that watch this no, this is the one right here. This is the new Daniel Tiger, who has his own TV show. And if you have kids or grandkids, this is probably the one that they know and they remember. This is a good legacy puppet, a legacy Daniel Tiger, but not the Daniel Tiger that I grew up with. So let's start with the beginning. In the beginning, like something's going on out there. I don't know what's going on. Kids talking, whatever. Anyway, in the beginning, so Mr. Rogers had the show going on, and they had a clock that was, so this is a true story. This is, you can fact check me on this. They had a clock that was supposed to move or do something or whatever, and it didn't work. So quick thinking, Mr. Rogers, what he figured he'd do is he slapped his watch, or a watch that they had at the prop department, whatever it was, on a puppet tiger, and he cut the hole in the clock, and he pushed his hand out of the thing, and he started doing the voice of Daniel Tiger, and Daniel Tiger told the lady that was asking about the time, and that's how it happened. And what's cool is the very first tiger he ever used is this tiger right here. This tiger is worth a ton of money, and it's made of, I want to say, mole hair. And I'm going to be very, very fragile and delicate with them and everything. And yes, I will tell you that my hands do fit in here. Okay, it's a little bit of a thing. I mean, a little bit of a, it's pretty much just it's kind of funny because it's the middle finger in the head, and the other fingers, pinky and pointer, go in, and then you have the very first Daniel Tiger. This is the first Daniel Tiger that Mr. Rogers stuck out of the hole, and was able to tell what time it was. Now, I don't do a Daniel Tiger voice, so don't be sitting here going, please don't do a Daniel Tiger voice. But yeah, this thing is literally, I want to say it's like almost 70 years old. Yeah, this thing's almost 70 years old, and it's still in really good shape. It's got a couple little dingies in there, worth a lot of money. Go on eBay, check them out. A lot of money. Okay, so this is the first one, and I gotta tell you, I mean, look at his face. You can't not fall in love with that. You can't not fall in love with that Daniel Tiger. I mean, he's just, look at that. I mean, that's beautiful. But then, once Daniel Tiger came out of the hole, and Mr. Rogers was like, hey, you know what? The prop department needs to come up with a tiger because, you know, this thing ain't gonna, this is like a mass-produced product. This is something that you can go to your corner store and get. At the time, I think it was pharmacies that used to sell them. And so he's like, I want my very own Daniel Tiger. So I have two of these because one looks better than the other. But this is the one that he used for all of the earlier programs. Check this out. Ready? Here we go. Let me put this one on here. Let me see. Hope I grabbed the prettier of the two. And he's set up the same way. Middle finger in the head. There you go. And what I have right here is actually a complete duplicate of the same tiger. Only because I ended up getting one for. I probably should have grabbed the other one because what I actually did was, wow, this is kind of I grabbed the wrong one. Let me put this one back in the bag. Let me show you what I did here. I was able to get not only the tiger that he used. Like I said, this is not the exact tiger that he used because that one's in a museum somewhere. But this is the one of the tigers type that he used there. But I was actually able to get the watch replica of the actual watch that Daniel Tiger wore. Let me see. There we go. And these guys watch on there. And when he would have came out of the hole, he would have had the watch on. I didn't bother on putting a watch on the other guy because I was like, that one's way too old. And I kind of really didn't want to do anything to handle it. But that's why I figured I wanted to make one, have one that was still sealed or whatever. I mean, not sealed, but and make one that was more of like screen accurate to what Mr. Rogers would have been using back in the day. So yeah, this is my other Daniel Tiger. Then we're getting to the end. Don't worry about it. Listen, I know you're like, dude, you just went through a whole big rant thing on schooling and this, that, and the other thing. I said, and now you're showing us puppets. What the heck is going on? So then mass produced, okay. Company, what company is this? Plush Creations Incorporated put out these, which is what you would have bought back in the day when you were like a Mr. Rogers fan and you just wanted to go buy a Daniel Tiger. These things was mass produced. The watch is like a little printed on watch thing there. He's got the big head and he doesn't even look anything like Daniel Tiger. That's another thing, is that I wasn't too happy with this. I had to get it because it's part of nostalgic thing. It's part of my collecting thing. If you got to have one, you got to have them all. And I will tell you, I do have every single Daniel Tiger incarnation right here. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, you understand what I just said there. If you're not a Doctor Who fan, it's pretty much every version of Daniel Tiger that Mr. Rogers ever used on his channel. And then this one has to be, this is my most expensive one, okay? Well, actually, between the first release one from the 60s, I believe that came out in the 60s, 1962 or something like that. So think about, you could do the math on that, how old that puppet actually is, from 1962. I had somebody actually custom make me one. And when they custom made me one, I think I paid a little bit too much for this thing, to be perfectly honest with you. But this one, when Mr. Rogers had his done, he actually had it so it would go further up his arm. And this is the one that he would have used. So he could have pushed this thing further out. If you notice, it goes further up my arm. But this would have been the Daniel Tiger prop replica that he would have used. So if you remember your Daniel Tiger, you probably remember. Now, granted, you're looking at it, it's like bright red and all the stuff like that. And you can see the little lines on his head. He used them for a long time. So there was a lot of wear and tear on Mr. Rogers. This is like brand new, but there was a lot of wear and tear on Mr. Rogers' Daniel Tiger. So there's not a lot of wear and tear on mine because it pretty much stays inside my plastic bags over here, and I keep them safe from the environment, okay? And I had this person custom make this thing. I paid $250 just for this custom made Daniel Tiger. And you're probably like, dude, you got an issue. But yeah, the one that's worth the most, or the ones that are worth the most, are actually this one right here from the 60s, and this one right, these right here that are from, I believe, the late 70s. But this one right here is pretty cool because it's the first one. It's if you go back and if I can't get a picture, I'll see if I can get a picture. But if you were to go back, I'm gonna try to put a picture over here. If you go back and you look at pictures of the original black and white Mr. Rogers episodes, that this right here is the one that he was using, because he just grabbed a puppet from the prop desk or whatever it was that they had, you know, at PBS at the time, or whatever company it was that was running Mr. Rogers. This is the one that he grabbed. I've always thought about picking up another one, only because it has like a little pull right over here. But this is, what's cool is it's made out of mole hair. I don't, you know, right now there's a mole that's very cold because of this puppet. But I mean, the thing that gets me about this one's probably my absolute favorite, and because of its face. If you look at the face, it has that like sense of purity. You know what I mean? It's got that like, it just seems right. You know what I mean? It just seems like I have brought these into the school for show and tell, to show my kids, you know, the puppets throughout the years. You know, this is this is what Mr. Rogers used as puppets throughout the years. And they don't really recognize any of these other ones except for this guy right here, because he's had his own cartoon series and had his own thing. So the only reason why I bought this guy is just because I wanted to have every single reinventing of the Daniel Tiger. So yeah, this was a little bit different. But I wanted to share a little bit. I'm gonna call this one the collection. Okay. What's his face? What's his name? Clocks and Rigs. Sean Clock. He does the collection. He shows you all his horror memorabilia and shows you all his things and all stuff like that. I have a pretty huge collection of all different kinds of things. I got a lot of horror stuff, but I also have a lot of stuff that is near and dear to my heart. And these things actually, most of my collection I keep in different parts of the house, but these puppets individual in particular, they stay like right on the side of my bed, because they're like one of the prides of my collection. It's just so cool that I was able to find every single one. Now, I would give anything for an original puppet that the man actually had his hand, and used it. You know what I mean? I would give anything for that. But unfortunately, that day is never gonna come. That all of those puppets are in museums. Matter of fact, I've looked it up to see where they are and what they're going for. Whatever, they're not for sale. It's actually in a museum somewhere, along with the trolley and all the other stuff. And so the closest I can get is what he actually used, and then had somebody custom make one for me. I think I got it from Etsy or whatever, the Etsy lady, and she had like one on there. And I asked her, I said, you 100% guarantee this thing, because you charged me 200 and change for it, and it's literally a puppet. It's going to be 100% screen accurate to the one that he used, towards the end. I wanted the one that he used towards the end, right before, he stopped being Mr. Rogers. And, well, he never stopped being Mr. Rogers, but stopped performing as Mr. Rogers and being on TV. And she's like, yep. She goes, I took all the photos and I locked it together between different things, and that's how I came up with this. And she goes, you can put it against any photo, and you're not gonna find any flaw whatsoever. It's even up to the faded lines in the back. Everything's perfection. And I did look at it, and it's pretty spot on. Besides the fact that his was pretty beat up from years and years of use. Now, if I was to take that to the preschool every day, and do a Daniel Tiger impression, and do that every single day for years and years and years. Granted, my Tiger may very well look exactly like the one that's in the museum. Do I want to do that? No, not for that price, and that doesn't really make any sense to me. But with that said, my friends, just listen, thank you for stopping by. This was a little strange video. I promise you the packages are coming. I got a list. Matter of fact, I checked my shipping list thing of things in eBay and Amazon, and Sideshow and Arrow and wow, who else is Arrow? What's the other one? I ordered something from Diabolic Films. I ordered 2 movies from Diabolic Films. I cannot wait to come in. They are actually both Dario Argento films. One of them I think is Dario Argento's Opera, and the other one is like a mini series that I didn't even know he had. I wasn't even aware that he had like a not even a mini series, more like a creep show. Excuse me, I got something going on here. Probably a little bit of old 1960s fur in my throat there. I'm gonna spit out a 1960s fur ball. Yeah, there's literally dust. Like, I can see it. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't see it in the camera, but it's floating around. I can see it. Yeah, I ordered a couple of Dario Argento things. The only thing I'm hoping about it is I ordered them from Diabolic. I think it's Diabolic or Diabolic. I think it's Diabolic Video, and they're really good actually. If you can look them up, they actually sell everything from Arrow to Scream Factory to any new releases. Wow. But the prices are really reasonable, and if you can't find them anywhere, they have them on their website. So I'm giving you a little bit of insight here. This is a little learning thing. Number one, share your movies with your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids and everything. Share, especially the ones you love. The movies that you absolutely love and adore, like E.T. and Goonies and Gremlins and what all that. I'm talking about those. To me, those are the kids ones. Those are the kids ones that you want to share with your kids, because eventually, if you don't do it, they're gonna disappear. They really are. Because some companies and some people like I ain't gonna mention any names, Disney. Sometimes they if they can't own something, they'll try to knock it out the park. And right now, Disney's taking over everything. They're taking over every single thing. And if they can't buy it or own it, like, so let's say funny, because I was gonna say Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, right? Steven Spielberg, E.T. Yeah, Steven Spielberg. Let's say Steven does not want to sell the rights over to E.T. to Disney. Now, they probably already does, because it's Emblem Entertainment. Doesn't say anything about Disney over here, Universal Studios. But let's say eventually Disney wants E.T. and then they can't have it. Or they do buy the rights and then they go and screw it all up by like CGI in it, or doing some kind of stupid sequel, or remaking it. I mean, listen, the person that remakes E.T. should be hung. Okay, should be. There's no reason to mess around with it. There wasn't any reason to mess around with it prior Okay, when it came out again in the movie theater, and they put that CGI crap in it when he's like drunk and falling all over in the kitchen, and then next thing you know he's in a tub and stuff like that. I went to go see it in the theater because I had to take one of my kids, and I was like, oh, okay, they added some additional footage and stuff like that. It wasn't additional footage. It was CGI crap, and because they were still using the original movie, okay, it made it look even more stupid. It's kind of like what they did with the Star Wars franchise when Disney took over Star Wars. They were like, oh well, we got this footage of Jabba the Hutt, but Jabba the Hutt at the time, whether you notice or not, was not Jabba the Hutt like the big giant slug guy. He was actually a human being. So in order for them to make Han Solo look like he's having a conversation with Jabba the Hutt on these new remastered, redone, pieces of garbage that Disney put together, they had to like raise Harrison Ford so it looked like he's walking over Jabba the Hutt's tail when actually there was no tail there. It was like they did so much. They're just ruining our childhood. Disney's ruined our childhood. It's no longer about being a child anymore. It's about making money. It's about, listen, go if you don't believe me, take a walk to your local Walmart, go take a ride to your local Walmart, and then think of the last Disney movie that just came out in the movie theater, and then go look at all of the merchandise, all of the rows and rows and rows of merchandise, t-shirts, and it's all about making money. It's all a money making thing. Back in the day, there was more love out there. Mr. Rogers, you talked about love and stuff like that, you know, and the original Disney classics were about love, and I think Walt Disney originally had it right. But these people that are running the show now, they it's all about the money. It's all about making a buck, and they will easily erase our childhood in a heartbeat. That's what they'll do. That was a weak snap. That was in a heartbeat. They would just erase our childhood. So share things with your kids, and remember they're just little people. Okay, they're smarter than you think that they are. So take your time. Okay, listen to what they have to say. If you're hurting, they're probably hurting too. Okay, and if you don't want me to be the guy that helps them through it, and you want to be that person, then be that person. Okay, I encourage parents to take on that role and teach their children about death and teach their children about being good to one another and helping one another out. And if you see a child with a disability or a person with a disability, if they're in a wheelchair or if they have something going on with them, explain to them what's going on, because they got questions. They're confused. Life confuses a 4-year-old, 5-year-old. So you got to stop for a second and you got to share with them what's going on. I mean, even basic things. It's so funny that this, like, even a trip to the supermarket could be a lesson. A trip to the Walmart could be a lesson. I mean, you could teach your kids something anywhere you go. And any place could be a lesson. The park is a lesson. You know, I today, this morning, for instance, I'm gonna use just an example before I let you guys go. Is a rainy day today. It was a rainy day today. And I asked the kids, I said, how many kids, how many of you guys like the rain? And I had quite a few kids raise their hand, tell me like the rain. I said, so what is the rain good for? And they were like, for making our hair wet, for getting us wet. And I'm like, no, I said, it's not just that. I said, let's stop for a second and think of what happens when the rain actually hits the ground and what it forms and what it does. And I was like, so when the rain gathers enough, what do you get? They're like, puddles. You get puddles. I'm like, yeah, you get puddles. I said, and what do you think those puddles are good for? And they were like, oh, and they stopped for a second, and then it gets their minds thinking, and I'm starting to, and their hands are going up, and their minds are thinking. I got one kid that raised their hand like, what are the puddles good for? Oh, they're good for cleaning the streets. I'm like, good, okay, that's a good one. Cleaning the streets, good one. What else are the puddles good for? Animals, birds and cats and stuff like that. The ones that the one little girl goes, I got a stray cat. She didn't say stray cat, but she goes, I got a cat that lives outside, and when it's thirsty, she goes, I see it drinking from the puddles. I'm like, there you go. So the rain helps the animals to get stuff to drink. Anybody else, and it just went on and on and on about how good. I'm like, one of the kids helps the trees and the plants and stuff to grow, and I'm like, see, I mean, everything is a lesson, especially when you're like 4 or 5. Just take a few minutes with you're 4 or 5. You put them here, okay? You put them on the planet. Take a little time with them and talk to them. You would be amazed how smart your kid actually is if you just stop for a few minutes and just stop and talk to them and ask them a couple questions or just listen. Just listen to what they have to say. And that's what I do. And that's why I collect things like this. That's why I have the ultimate Daniel Tiger collection that should probably be on stands and not in Ziploc bags. But I didn't really want the light to get to them. I didn't want the environment to get to them. I figured if they're in a Ziploc bag, yellow and blue make green, I know that they are safe from dirt and lint and sunlight. They actually after I'm done with this video, they're gonna go into this bin I got of the that I keep them in. And it's gonna be closed up, so these things don't even see light. So I'll probably be dead 20, 30, 40, 50 years. These things will still exist, and hopefully they go to somebody that appreciates them and understands for this collection for what it is. This collection is actually a collection of love. Love for the man that pretty much raised me as a 5-year-old child. Okay, that the man that taught me morals, the man that taught me how to be the teacher that I am today, how to sit and look and listen and learn, and that's what he did. That's what he did, and he's still teaching me. I'll tell you right now, you will catch me if you knew me good enough, you will catch me every once in a while on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, or if I get like days off or whatever from work. I own a big Mr. Rogers VHS VHS. I always want to say VHS for some reason, because I did have them all on VHS, but I've upgraded them now to DVD. There is no Blu-rays or whatever, but I have a huge collection. I wish they would release from beginning to end the entire franchise, every single episode. I wish they would do that. But what they've been releasing is like 48 of his best and 50 of his best. So, and they all got titles like 58 of friendship or 48 of science or 35 of this, and I bought them all. I got them all, and I've watched them. And I'll tell you, as a pre-K teacher, watching them gives me ideas. It gives me ideas of what I'm going to teach next. I'm like, wow, if it worked for him, then it's going to work for me. And this is how he explained it to them, then this is how I'm going to explain it to them. If it worked for me as a child, and I grew up and I still understood things, and I didn't have a mom and dad to tell me what was going on, and I looked up to Mr. Rogers to tell me what was going on in life. I didn't know what assassination was. I didn't know what racism was. I didn't know what all of these things were. I had to look to this man to explain life to me. He had to explain it, and he always did it with kindness, and he was completely calm. As a child, listened to my father yelling and scream every single day, my entire life, yelling and scream, yelling and scream, yelling and scream. When I sat down, Mr. I was like, wow, this guy has the patience of a saint. I've never seen any person any calmer, where his voice never got any higher, it never got any lower, unless he wanted it to, and unless he was trying to tell the children something like, this is what it sounds like when you're mad, and it sounds like, besides that, his voice never got any louder than a certain thing. So even at the school now, when I teach the preschool now, pre-K now, so I don't knock myself out. I try to keep my voice at a decent level. I want it to be soothing and understanding, and I want them to be able to come up to me and not be afraid of me. I remember, going up to my father was just plain fear. I was afraid to talk to him about anything. So I don't want the kids to feel like that to me. I want them to the cutest thing today. I'm gonna share this, and I'm gonna go. Okay, little girl just graduated, and I have her for the summertime or whatever. And she's like, so she had to go have popsicles with the principal of her new school, and she's all day talking about, I'm having popsicles with the principal, popsicles with the principal. And she gets picked up at the end of the day today, and I had to give a tour to some other parents that wanted to check out the school and find out what I was all about. And I'm explaining to them about how I teach morals, and I don't make popsicle stick men, and I don't do silly, stupid things that don't make any sense in my head that your kid's never gonna need in life. I don't do those things, and most parents are like right on board. They're like, yes, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for some moral value. We're fed up with this popsicle stick land too. Okay, we're tired of watching our kids coming home with the stuff glued to papers that doesn't even make any sense or whatever. They want the kids to come home and be well behaved and have manners and understand. I had one class where I actually sat there with a fake plate full of food and taught the kids how to sit down at a fancy restaurant. That was one of my lessons, was how to teach the kids how to sit at a fancy restaurant. Because how many times have you gone to a restaurant that you've paid a lot of money to go to the restaurant, and you got that one table next to you with that one or two rotten kids that weren't taught anything, and they're yelling, they're screaming, they're throwing things around, they're banging the tables, they're smashing their silverware down. It's annoying. Okay, and on top of it, one time I had a lesson where I taught the kids how to go to a movie theater, because nowadays you go to the movie theater and parents take the kids to the movie theater and kids can't sit there and watch a movie. They're yelling the script. They don't get it because nobody takes the time to teach them these things. So yeah, the little girl came upstairs. She's like, I'm doing the tour. I'm explaining the whole thing to these parents, and the little girl comes up, big smile, gives me a big hug. She's like, I'm leaving now, and I'm like, oh yes. She goes, I'm going, and I'm like, popsicles with the principal. Yes. I'm like, listen, you have a lot of fun with that. You enjoy it. You have a great day. And I always tell my kids I love them. I'm like, I love you. I have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm gonna miss you. And as they're walking downstairs, I always go, I miss you already. I miss you already. And with that said, my friends, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate you. And I'll see you later.
You should have saved me some.